welcome. Thank you for joining me. My name is Lauren. I will be guiding you through a gentle yoga practice where we are going to focus on our fingers, hands, and wrists, our toes, feet, and ankles. So if you have an issue with any one of those places, really make sure that you're listening. Everything that we're doing should be comfortable, so don't push yourself out of whatever is comfortable for you. Okay, you don't need anything for the practice. 2 blocks are nice and something for under your head, but nothing is required. We are going to start on our backs. So I, again, like to place something under my head, just a little towel, but that's optional. You're going to come down onto your back. Now you might have your legs long along your mat, or you might bend your knees. Whatever feels best. We're going to be here for a little bit. So just make yourself really comfortable. Find a position where you can relax. And then once you find that comfortable position, really let your body sink into it. Recognizing that this is a comfortable position that you chose, and you can always move. You can always pick a different position. You're certainly not stuck in the position that you're in. The hope is that once you find your comfortable position, it's comfortable to stay here. And then you let your body relax. You let everything else that might feel like it's clinging to you, you let it wash away. You set aside any responsibilities or things you need to get done today. You just sort of set those off to the side, away from your mat. They'll be there waiting for you when the practice is over. You're not neglecting or ignoring your problems, but you're just setting them to the side. You'll come back to them later. You'll visit them later. But right now, we set those aside. We focus on your body. What does your body need right now? Not what does someone else need? What do you think you should be doing? What's your body saying? How's your body feel? How's your breath? Notice your breath. Notice how smooth and fluid your breath is. How your breath seems to be uninterrupted and seamless. Now you're welcome to continue with a smooth, seamless breath. Just watching, noticing, feeling your breath. I'm going to walk you through a pranayama, a breathing technique called Viloma 1. Viloma means against the grain or against the natural order. So instead of a seamless breath, we'll take the inhalation and divide it into 3 equal parts. And then the exhalation will be a smooth, seamless breath. And we'll take a round of a natural breath and come back to Viloma 1. So we'll just be holding the breath for a moment or two, which is a perfectly safe practice unless you are pregnant or trying to get pregnant. If that's the case, skip this practice. Otherwise, perfectly safe. Okay, now to begin, exhale completely. Push all of the breath out of your lungs. Empty your lungs. And then inhale 1/3 of the way. Pause, hold your breath. Inhale 2/3 of the way. Pause, hold your breath. Inhale 3/3 of the way. Fill your lungs to their capacity. Hold it at the top. And then exhale completely. A long, smooth, seamless exhalation. Inhale naturally. Exhale naturally. Back to Viloma. Inhale 1/3 of the way. Pause. Hold your breath. Inhale 2/3 of the way. Pause. Hold your breath. Inhale 3/3 of the way. Fill your lungs 100% of the way. Hold it here at the top. Notice this feeling of being full of breath. And then exhale completely. Inhale naturally. Exhale naturally. Let's do 2 more. Inhale 1/3 of the way. Pause. Hold the breath, but soften your shoulders and your arms. Inhale 2/3 of the way. Pause, hold the breath, soften the throat, neck, and jaw. Inhale 3/3 of the way. Fill your lungs past their capacity, but relax the muscles of the face. Hold the breath. Notice being full of breath, full of prana, full of air. And then exhale completely. Inhale naturally. Exhale naturally. Final round. Inhale 1/3 of the way. Pause. Hold the breath, but soften your muscles. Inhale 2/3 of the way. Hold the breath. Soften your joints. Inhale 3/3 of the way to your capacity, past it maybe even. Relax your muscles, your joints, your body, but hold the breath. And exhale completely. Return back to your natural breath. Come back to an organic, easy, effortless breath. Notice how you feel. Keeping your attention inward. If it feels right for you, you're welcome to take the next few moments to set an intention for your practice. Your intention might be something physical, it might be mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual, as long as it's a positive word or phrase. Silently and slowly repeat that phrase, that word, to allow your intention to settle in your heart. Slowly deepen your breath. Take long, slow, full breaths. And then create soft movements through your body. Wiggle fingers and toes, maybe rock head side to side. Take a few moments to move in any way that feels good. Take a full body stretch, maybe hug your knees in. Maybe even roll out the wrists and ankles here. Of course, we will be coming back to them in these movements. Okay, we are going to meet still on our back with our knees bent and feet flat on the floor. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, hug your right thigh in towards your belly. So hold on to the back of the thigh as opposed to the top of the shin. And try to relax your hands, wrists, forearms, arms, shoulders. You're hugging that thigh in, but try to relax the arms as best you can. If it's hard to grab onto the thigh organically, you might need a towel or a strap or something that can help hug the thigh in. But we want to try to relax the shoulders. Now we're going to keep the thigh still here. The thigh should not move. Your arms should not move. But inhale, reach your right foot towards the ceiling. And exhale, bend your right knee. Heel comes back towards the back of the thigh. Inhale, lengthen the leg, foot to the sky. Exhale, slowly lower. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bend. Now continue moving at your own pace, but again, check in that your thigh does not move. I teach this very often, and a lot of times I see students move the whole leg. It's not a whole leg movement. The only joint that should be moving is the knee. Your hip and your thigh stay still. Your arms and your hands stay fairly still. When you reach your right foot to the ceiling, your leg will not become a straight line. If it is becoming a straight line, I would put money on it that you are moving the thigh and the hip. So we want to keep the thigh and hip still. The right leg will not become a straight line. It will still be bent at the knee at least a little bit. Okay, let's do this 1 or 2 more times. And the next time you lengthen your leg up towards the ceiling, pause there. Now let's move through the foot and ankle. So point and flex your feet. Your right foot, excuse me, just the right foot. Point and flex. Notice how when you point and flex, you feel it in the ankle, but you also feel it in your calf and your shin. Do 1 more of each. And then do some ankle circles. So roll out the ankle. Try to make really large circles. Notice where you feel this, probably still the ankle and the calf and the shin. And then reverse the direction of the circle. Of course, anything asymmetrical, we've got to do it both ways. And then bring your foot back to stillness. Now, we're going to just move at the toes, so the heel will stay still, the ankle will stay still, but spread your toes away from each other. Really create space between the toes. Spread them out wide, and then crunch your toes in like you're making a fist, but with your foot. So spread your toes out wide, really stretch them out, and then crunch them in. Keep doing this. The heel and the ankle will stay still. You're not pointing and flexing the foot. It's not an ankle action. This is a foot and toe action. Notice that now you feel the stretch in your foot, in your toes, different from the last 2 movements. Do 1 more of each. And then you can relax your foot. Keep your right leg extended up towards the ceiling, but release the arms. Inhale, really reach the right heel to the ceiling. Exhale, slowly lower, keeping the leg long, but let it lower all the way down onto the mat. And then lengthen both legs. Let both legs rest long against your mat. Just notice how each leg feels. Maybe one leg feels a little longer, a little looser, a little lighter. Take a moment. Okay. And then bend your knees, feet flat on the ground. We'll obviously do that on the second side. So inhale. Exhale, hug the left thigh in towards your belly. So maybe you think about interlacing your fingers the way that you don't typically interlace them. That's a really good thing to think about for your hands and your wrists, doing this all the time. Whenever you find yourself interlacing your fingers, can you interlace them the other way, sliding the fingers over one? Get your hands used to that position. Okay, now hug the thigh in, but relax the arms and the shoulders and the chest and the back of the head. The thigh will stay still, but inhale, reach the left foot to the ceiling. Exhale, bend the left knee. Inhale, reach the left foot to the ceiling. Exhale, bend the left knee. Now we'll continue again, moving at the pace of your breath. There's no rush, there's no hurry. We are just warming up. But the thigh should be staying still. The hip should be staying still. The only movement is at the knee. So we're really feeling the stretch through the hamstring, through the back of the left thigh. You might feel it closer by the knee, maybe a little in the calf. That's all right. This really isn't about the foot and the ankle here. We'll get there. But here, this is to warm up the leg. And this sounds counterintuitive, but the more the whole leg moves, the less the hamstrings are getting warmed up. So if the whole leg is doing a big kick and a big action, there's a ton of muscles getting warmed up here, only a little bit. The work gets distributed so thinly between such a large amount of muscles that no one space really warms up as much as we want. We really just want to target the hamstrings. So we keep the thigh still. Okay, do this 1 or 2 more times. Now the next time you reach your foot up for the ceiling, you're going to keep the leg as it is, but let's point and flex the foot. Make really large movement, really point, really flex. So your ankle can move in 4 directions. We are going to do all 4 of them. When we come to a seat, we'll do the other 2. But this is plantar flexion and dorsiflexion. If anyone's ever had plantar fasciitis, that's the bottom of the foot. This is a plantar flex. Okay, do 1 more of each, and then do some circles. Now circles are tough because your ankle doesn't really have that mobility quite like your wrist does. But we make these circles. We move the ankle around as much as we can. Do maybe 1 more. And then reverse. Do about 1 more. And then bring the foot to stillness. Ankle stay still. Heel stay still. Just spread the toes wide, really far away from each other. And then crunch them in like you're making a fist with your foot. Spread your toes wide. Create space between them. And then crunch the toes in. Do this a few more times. Now you maybe have seen these little devices that you can put between your toes. I think they even use yoga as a, I think they even call them yoga somethings. I don't know what they're called. But you want to think about really spreading your toes out. And those devices, those things sort of help you do that. They kind of look like the things when you get a pedicure where they stick between your toes. That helps you create more mobility between the toes. Okay, now relax the foot, but keep the leg long. Release your arms. Inhale, really reach your left heel for the ceiling. Exhale, slowly lower the leg, keeping the leg long as you lower that leg down. And then again, lengthen both legs. Notice how your legs feel. Notice if any of that sensation, if it stays in your feet and your ankles, or how do your knees feel? How do your hips feel? Take a moment. Now inhale. Exhale, hug the knees in towards your chest. You might rock from side to side. Maybe trace some circles with your knees. Okay. All right. Now from here, we'll come up to a seat. You can rock through to the center or push yourself over to the side and then push your hands into the floor to lift yourself up. Okay. Now we're going to come to a seat. If you've got something to sit on, I would use it. But if you don't, that's okay. It just becomes more comfortable to be here longer if you're sitting on something. Okay. So you're going to be here for a while. So we're going to do a little bit more with the hands and wrists here to start. So lengthen up, sit up tall. The longer we're here, the more likely you'll feel like you want to slouch. So sit up tall. Sitting on something will help you avoid that too because it's in your pelvis. So sit up tall, really lengthen up through the crown of the head with the shoulders relaxed. Now here we're going to focus on massaging the hand and the forearm. So allow your left arm to just sort of lengthen out. Left arm. I'll mirror you. With your right hand, start by your elbow and start to massage your forearm. So it depends on your body where you find tightness. I often find tightness in the inside, closer to the inside of the wrist or inside of the forearm. So that's where I'm going to spend some time. But think about maybe just making small circles, sort of massaging whatever space. Maybe you feel a lot more tension on the back side of your arm. And that's fine too, but mine's often here. Sometimes I feel it sort of cramp up, especially if I've been on a computer or my phone all day. But we'll just take just a few moments. We won't be here long, just sort of coming up and down the forearm. Maybe doing circles, maybe just sort of sliding side to side. And if you find a spot that feels like it's really tender, maybe hang out there. Take maybe just another breath or two on the forearm. And then let's come to the hand. So really for the hand, what I want us to focus on is this webbing, the space between the pointer finger and the thumb. So it doesn't matter to me if you massage it here or this way, but I want you to think about sort of massaging this space. And you might even use a knuckle. My thumb is actually already starting to cramp up, so I'm going to take my knuckle, my pointer finger, sort of draw it in here. Oh yeah, that's the spot. And this space for me, especially, this is my right hand. I know I'm mirroring you. This is my right hand and I'm right-handed. So there's a lot happening on this side for me. But getting into this space, again, sort of the base of the thumb or the webbing between your pointer finger and your thumb. You could do this backside. For me, I don't really feel a whole lot there. It doesn't feel very meaty. It's just mostly flesh. We want to get into where there's a lot of muscles. We'll stay for just another breath. We won't be here long. We've got the other side to do. And all of the things that we're going to do like this, you could be here a long time if you choose. We just kind of have a lot to go through. Okay, so now we'll switch sides, but even just for a moment, whether you let your arms rest or keep them upright, just notice the difference between your right and your left in my body. It's a stark difference. There's a huge difference. Maybe that is for you. Just take a breath. Okay, and then second side. So right arm, let's start with the forearm. I like to start up by the elbow and just sort of work my way down. But then you might even kind of come up, down, and around, whatever you need. But I want you to think about just sort of seeing where your body is holding tension and needs some relief. Where does it need some massaging? It might be the front of the forearm. It might be the back. It might be, for me, I'm kind of going to the inside edge as well, almost towards the pinky side. That's where I feel a lot of my tension in my forearms, but that might not be where yours is. So find yours. Rub it out, roll it out, massage it. Notice if that starts to affect your fingers. My fingers were just curling. Just a few more moments here. We won't be here too long. One or two more breaths. Okay, and then we'll come to the hand. So again, thinking about the space between the pointer finger and the thumb, this webbing, there might be a technical name for this. I don't know what it is though, an anatomically correct space, but just massaging that space. So whether you're sort of pinching it, again, my thumb is starting to cramp up. So I'm going to use my knuckle, my pointer finger knuckle, and get into it. Yeah. And using maybe a lot of pressure, maybe a little, whatever feels good. Again, whatever feels right. Think of everything I'm saying. And I say this all the time, but especially with this practice because it's such a different one. I don't normally teach like a foot and ankle and hand and wrist sort of sequence, but it really should be comfortable. All of these things that we're doing, you should find relief in them. Yeah, it might be a lot. But you can breathe. See, I'm able to like complete a sentence and have a conversation if you were with me. That's key to this. Ooh. Take one more breath here. I found the spot. Okay. All right, and then you can release. And then again, just notice how your hands, your fingers, maybe even your wrists, your forearms feel different. We're going to do one more movement for our wrists here. So continuing to sit up tall, reach your fingertips forward, but draw your palms away from each other. Thumbs will point down towards the floor. Cross your right arm over your left. Bring your palms together and interlace your fingers. Interlace the fingers, but don't squeeze the fingers. Okay. Continue to sit up tall. Relax the shoulders. Bend at the elbows so your knuckles point towards your chest, up towards the ceiling, and they might even come forward. They might not though, and then come back where you started. And we'll just keep threading the hands through, back and forth. Now you'll feel most of this in your wrists and forearms. It should be comfortable. Don't push your wrists past the point where they are comfortable. So this is a good thing to keep in mind all the time with yoga. This is especially here. Just because they can do something does not mean you should do something. So some days I feel like, yeah, my hands can come forward, but it doesn't really feel that good. So that means they don't have to. They probably shouldn't. So go where it feels good. Let's do one more. Okay. And then once your arms are extended again, notice which pinky finger is on top, because I want you to interlace your fingers the other way the second time. And then release your hands, cross the left arm over the right, interlace the fingers the other way, slide the other finger off to the, so that it's first, but same movement, thread the hands through. Okay, so fingers are interlaced but not squeezing. And you're extending your arms to whatever depth or degree or intensity feels productive, beneficial, and comfortable. It might feel like a lot or a deep stretch, but you're able to breathe. Again, if you were sitting in a room with someone, you would be able to hold a conversation. Let's do one more. Okay, and then you can release your hands, release your arms. One more upper body thing. Let's just do some shoulder rolls. So keeping your head and your neck still, make 2 or 3 more large circles in this direction. And then reverse the direction. 1 or 2 more. Okay, and then relax the shoulders. Okay, now from here we're going to come to a seat. I'm actually going to come off the block. I think that this will be a little uncomfortable with the block underneath me. But we're going to lengthen the legs. I'm going to turn just to the side a little so I can be sure that you can see me. So you're going to lengthen your legs out long. So we did a little bit of plantar flexion, that's pointing your toes. Dorsiflexion is flexing your feet. So the other 2 movements of the ankle is eversion and inversion. So eversion, we're going to do it with both legs together. Legs are long. Eversion is like you're trying to get the bottoms of your feet together, like you're trying to do like prayer hands with your feet. And you can bring the feet together if you actually want to try to get the bottoms of them together. So it's like the pinky toes are trying to touch, and so then you're going to feel a deep stretch in the outside edge of the ankle. For those of you familiar with like Warrior 2, this is happening in Warrior 2, right? You're sort of really pushing through the pinky toe side, opening through the outside edge of the ankle. Stay for just a moment. And then inversion is the opposite. So this is like you're trying to get, this one's really tough for me. It's like you're trying to get your pinky toes back towards your body, pushing your big toes forward. I don't know if you can even tell what I'm trying to do, but if, we were doing prayer hands, now we're trying to do the opposite. So like the bottoms of your feet are trying to face the 2 sides of the room. Stay for just a moment. Oh, you really probably can't tell, but I'm trying. Okay, let's do each one of those one more time. So eversion, like prayer hands, but with your feet. So make sure that it doesn't come from your knees, because I just found that in my own body. I was drawing my knees away, and yeah, that definitely gets the bottoms of the feet closer together. But we want to keep the legs still and allow it to just be in the feet and ankles. Yeah, then it's not nearly as close. Stay for a moment. This is kind of a goofy sequence. Thank you for trying it with me. And then the opposite, so the inversion, where you're trying to, it's almost like you're trying to get the tops of your feet together, like where your shoelaces go. Obviously that would not happen. But notice if your knees are now knocking in and the inner thighs are really squeezing in, that means that the movement is coming from all the way up here. It really just should be in the feet and ankles. Take one more moment here with this inversion. And then relax. Okay. Whew. All right. Now we're going to come into tabletop. So allow your legs to come behind you. If you've got blocks, maybe bring them to the top 2 corners of your mat. All right. So even just a wrist stretch here would just to be in tabletop. Now we do this a lot in yoga. Plank, down dog, tabletop. We're in this action of a wrist because when you're on a computer and holding a phone, your palm comes towards your forearm. We're often in this action. So now in tabletop, we're doing the opposite. So even here, this is a stretch, but we're going to do a little bit with our spine here. So as you inhale, drop your belly down towards the floor, lift your chest, lift your heart, look forward. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, draw the ribs up and in, chin to the chest, look towards your belly button. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest, lift the heart, look forward. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, ribs to the sky, chin to the chest. Now move at the pace of your breath with your spine, and maybe you add a little bit more into that stretch. So as you inhale and drop the belly, you shift your weight forward. Keep the heels of your hands on the floor. You'll feel a stretch in your wrists and forearms. And as you exhale, draw the ribs to the sky, chin to the chest, and shift back a little bit. Ease off the wrists. Inhale, drop the belly, pull the heart forward, shift forward, keep the heels of the hands on the floor. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, ribs up, chin to the chest, shift back. Do about 1 or 2 more of each just like this, noticing how this feels not just in your spine, but also your wrists and forearms. We've given them quite a bit of attention so far. You might even be able to tell that this is the most attention they've gotten in a while. and that's all right. Okay, and then we'll return back to the center, back to a neutral spine. Now we're going to come back to the focus is really the wrist. So left hand can stay where it is. Right hand, you're going to flip your hand so that your palm faces up towards the ceiling and your fingers point back towards your feet. So palm to the sky, fingers point back towards your feet. It's like your fingernails should be on the ground. Okay. Now, you might bend your right elbow quite a bit, or you might keep it straight, whatever feels best. But we want to try to keep really the back of the hand on the ground here. Now, you should be feeling a stretch through your forearms, through your right forearm, excuse me. For more, with your right hand, curl your fingers in towards your palm like you're making a fist, but keep the back of the hand on the ground. So don't let the back of the hand lift up. You want to keep the back of the hand down, but make that fist and then release. Make a fist and release. Make a fist, release. Depending on the room that you're in and the lighting, you might even be able to see your forearm muscle contract and release. I always find that really interesting. Maybe do this one more time. Okay. And then you can release, maybe roll it out a few times. Okay, now, same thing with the second side. So, flip the left palm so the palm faces the ceiling, back of the hand on the floor, fingertips point back towards your feet, fingernails on the ground. So palm to the sky, fingertips point back towards your feet. Now, we want to keep the back of the hand flat. Left elbow might be bent or not, but curl the left fingers in like you're making a fist with your left hand, and then lengthen the fingers out. Curl it in, lengthen it out, curl it in, lengthen it out. Again, maybe you can sort of see those muscles contract. One or two more. Okay, and then you can release, maybe roll it out. We're going to relieve off the wrist for several moments now here. Okay. In a moment, I should say. Okay, so for just a moment, we're going to come into downward facing dog. So walk your hands one whole handprint closer to the top of your mat. Hook your toes under. Get a little stretch through the bottoms of your feet. This is foreshadowing. We are coming to this later. So really stretch the bottoms of the feet. Push the feet and the hands down. Inhale, lift the knees. Exhale, downward facing dog. Stay for just a breath because I know your wrists are feeling a lot probably. And then deeply bend your knees. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, travel forward. Taking either baby steps or stepping forward. Forward fold Uttanasana, let's hang out here. You could grab onto opposite elbows and just sway side to side. If you're looking for a little something in your chest and shoulders, you might take Yoga Mudra. You might bring your hands by your lower back, interlace your fingers, maybe interlace them the way you don't typically interlace them. Reach your knuckles away from you and then maybe even reach your knuckles up towards the ceiling. Maybe you have a deep bend in your knees, maybe not. Maybe you're just letting your arms hang, that's fine. But wherever you're at, just let your head feel heavy, like your skull just really is feeling the effects of gravity, just pulling down towards the floor. Not pushing, not forcing, just letting it pull. Stay for a breath. If you're in Yoga Mudra, keep your hands interlaced, but bring them closer towards your lower back. And then release your hands and let your hands slide alongside the whole back side of the legs. Let the arms just rest. Okay, now push your heels firmly into the ground. Inhale, lift up halfway. We're going to pause here. Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. So hands can always come to blocks, shins, or thighs, but just not the knees. You push your hands down to reach the crown of your head away. Think of the action like when you were sitting up tall. Do that even though you're facing the floor and you're not sitting anymore. Elongate the spine. Contract the upper back. Keep the spine long. Push the heels down. Inhale, rise. Fingertips reach to the sky. Maybe you even look up and bring your hands through to your heart. Tadasana. Take a deep breath.
We'll move through some half sun salutations here, focusing more on your spine and really sort of the back side of your body. We'll be coming into Tadasana with our hands at our heart every once in a while throughout the practice, but then also right here. And something to think about, another wrist stretch that's easy to incorporate in an average yoga class is instead of hands at the heart with the elbows down low, let the elbows come out wide. It might sort of feel funny or look funny, but here you're clearly stretching the wrists, where here you are not. So palms together up by your heart, by your collarbones, but the elbows out wide. Just make sure you're not then shrugging the shoulders. So an easy way to get another wrist stretch, especially if you're feeling uncomfortable in tabletop and plank and things like that, you need this action a little bit more. Okay, so hands at the heart, shift your weight back into your heels. You can wiggle your toes, really elongate, stand up tall. Inhale, circle the arms up. Exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Push the heels down, inhale, rise up. Circle the arms. We're going to do that 2 more times. Exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Push the heels down, inhale, rise up. Fingertips to the sky, maybe even look up. We're going to do that 1 more time. Exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Push the heels down, inhale, rise, fingertips to the sky. Now we're going to do some standing poses. Exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, step the right foot back. So your hands might come onto blocks, your hands might come right onto the ground. We are going to drop that right knee down onto the ground. We won't be here that long, but if you'd like to pad that right knee by placing something under it, or even just folding the right edge of your mat under it, you're welcome to do that. Okay, so we're in this low lunge, pushing the left heel firmly down into the ground. You should be able to wiggle your left toes. And we're thinking about squeezing the inner thighs in, even just a little bit. Instead of letting the left knee go to the left mostly, we want to draw the inner thighs in. Like you're trying to get the inner seams of your pants just a little bit closer together. Okay. Now we're going to focus on getting into the right foot and right ankle. So keeping the top of the right foot down. So this is unlike what we typically do in our lunges and in our standing poses, but we want the right toenails down, top of the foot down where shoelaces would go. That spot stays down. Push your left heel down and the top of the right foot down. Lift the right knee. It might just hover off the ground. So top of the foot down where shoelaces would go is still pushing down into the floor. Notice what you're feeling in your ankle. The knee might lift a little, it might lift a lot. Obviously, the more it lifts, you're going to feel more. Listen to your body, stay for a breath. And then slowly let that right knee lower down. Okay, we're going to do that again in a moment. Maybe let your hips move around, sort of move a little forward and back, side to side. That's okay. Sort of taking this as a rest. Okay, we're going to do that again. So allow the hips to come forward a little bit. The hope is that your left knee and left ankle are stacked, that your shin is a vertical line, straight up and down. Push the left heel down, maybe even the hands down. Top of the right foot, again, where shoelaces would go. Push that spot down. Lift the right knee and the right shin up off the ground. Maybe a little, maybe a lot. Listen to your body. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. It should feel like a comfortable stretch. You should not be thinking, ow. You should not be wincing or making a face. Stay for a breath. And then slowly let that right knee lower down onto the ground. Okay, and then again, maybe let the hips roll around, move around a little. Okay, all right, now we're gonna stay on this side, but here we're gonna hook the back toes under. So top of the foot is very much lifted off the ground. Lift the right knee up off the ground. This is how we typically come into our lunges. And then pivot the back foot so that the right heel is very firmly down on the ground. Your right toes are pointing directly over to the right. the back edge of your foot is parallel to the back edge of your mat. Deeply bend the left knee. Push your left heel down into the ground. Push your hands into the thigh, excuse me, and inhale, rise. Take a warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2. Now, warrior two, we often focus on how much the front leg is working, and that's very true. The quads are working hard, the spine is long, arms reached out, shoulders relaxed, but we very often forget about the back leg. So here we are getting that eversion in the ankle. You're pushing your pinky toe away from you. Again, it's sort of like your feet are doing that prayer hands position. You're only doing the one, but you're really pushing through the pinky toe side of the foot. You should feel a stretch through the bony part of the outside of the ankle, if not through the outside of the calf and shin. So keep pushing the pinky toe side down like you're trying to lift the inner arch. You lengthen the spine, you reach the arms out, and take a deep breath. Inhale, exhale, cartwheel the arms, bring the hands down, lift the right heel, pivot the foot, inhale, exhale, step forward, forward fold, Uttanasana. Stay for a breath. Okay, inhale, lift up halfway, exhale, step the left foot back. Stepping that left foot back and then lowering the left knee to the ground. I moved, so I'm still facing you, but you can stay where you're at. All right, so dropping the left knee, you might pad that left knee, but it's not going to stay down on the floor for very long. Left heel pushes down. You can wiggle, right toes. You can wiggle your right toes as you push your right heel down. Hands come down under the shoulders, wherever that is, or whatever that's on. And you squeeze your inner thighs in towards each other just a little bit. We want the hips stable, so inner thighs working hard, inner leg line, hip adductors working hard. Okay, now, top of the left foot stays down. We don't hook it under like we normally do. Toenails down, top of the foot down where the shoelaces would go, that stays down, but we lift the knee and lift the shin. So push the top of the foot down, push your right heel down, hands down, but lift that left knee. Maybe a little, maybe a lot. We're going to do this twice. So maybe you stay a little low this first round. You just sort of feel it out. What's this feel like? Is this a new movement for your leg? Stay for a breath. And then slowly lower that leg down. And then again, you can move around. Okay, and we will do that one more time. So top of the foot down, really push the right heel down. Again, squeeze the inner thighs, engage the legs. Push the top of the foot down to lift the knee. Maybe a little, maybe a lot. But really push the top of the foot down, lift that knee, lift that shin, push the right heel down. Lift the knee, lift the shin. Notice how you're feeling. What does this feel like in the foot and ankle? You can always come out of the pose when you want, but we're going to stay for one more breath. And then slowly lower down. Again, you can move around. Give yourself a moment. Okay. All right. And then when you're ready, you're going to hook the back toes under. Bottom of the foot on the ground. Toenails, top of the foot off the ground. Lift the knee. And now pivot the foot. Left heel comes down. Left toes point over to the left side of the room. The back of your foot, the pinky toe side of your foot is parallel to the back edge of your mat. They look like a number 11, okay? Deeply bend the right knee, push the right heel down, hands to the top of the right thigh. Inhale, lift your torso and cartwheel your arms, warrior two, okay? Spine is long, arms reach out, shoulders relaxed. Right knee bends forward, so the right leg is working hard. And that should be working hard. You should be feeling that, but don't forget about back here. Push the left pinky toe and that whole outside edge of the foot down. So again, coming into that eversion, like you're trying to get the bottoms of your feet into that sort of prayer position. Push the pinky toe side down like you're lifting, like you're lifting the arch. Feel that stretch to the outside edge of the foot, ankle, maybe the calf and shin. Warrior two, take a deep breath here. Inhale, exhale, cartwheel the arms, bring the hands down, lift off the back heel, pivot the foot. Inhale. Exhale, step forward. Forward fold. Stay for a few moments. Just let your upper body hang, feel heavy. Let it release and relax. Take a deep breath. Now push the heels firmly into the floor. Inhale, lift up halfway, lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold forward. Push the heels into the floor. Inhale, lift. Reach, rise up towards the ceiling. Then bring your hands slowly back through to your heart, coming into Tadasana. Take a deep breath. Okay. All right. So here we're just going to take a stretch for our spine, for the side of our torso. I'm going to face you. I'll mirror you. So feet hip distance, weight back in the heels, stand up tall. Inhale, circle the arms up, reach fingertips to the sky. We're going to pause it here. So keep reaching the left arm up. Using your right hand, grab onto your left wrist or forearm. Inhale, reach left fingertips to the sky. Exhale, start to sweep up and over, reaching over to the right. Now, you want to keep pushing your left heel down. Sometimes we end up wanting to bend the knee, kind of pop the hip, take weight out of that foot. The left heel should be really pushing down. You can't grow tall and long and reach without a firm base. So you need to push the left heel down as you sweep left fingertips up and over. Try to let the shoulders relax and keep reaching up and over. Feel the expansion through the left side of the torso. Take a breath. And then inhale, return to the center. Fingertips all towards the ceiling. Lengthen the spine, you're back to neutral. Keep the right arm long. Left hand reaches either to the wrist or the forearm. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, take that side bend. So you're sweeping up and over. Now make sure that you don't bend your knee, pop your hip, push the right heel down. Really push down like you're trying to push the earth away from you, and you sweep up and over. You let your shoulders relax. And even though I'm doing this, try not to let your arm fall in front of you. We want to try to let the arm stay sort of by the ear. Take a deep breath, Ardha Chandrasana. And then inhale, return to the center, all 10 fingers up towards the ceiling. Inhale, exhale, slowly bring the hands through to the heart. Take a deep breath. Okay, you can release your arms alongside your body. We're gonna do one more thing standing, and this is really for your balance in your feet and ankles. So first, we shift the weight into the heels. We lift the toes, spread the toes wide like we did earlier. Try to create as much space between the toes as possible. And then, one by one, starting with the pinky toes, can you drop your toes down one at a time? And probably not. This is really tough. But I mentioned those sort of devices. I wish I could remember what they're called. Someone just posted them online just yesterday. But they, again, look like those things that they put on your feet when you get a pedicure. They're like spacers for your toes. The hope is that they start to allow you to do this, that you have the mobility. Anatomically speaking, there is no reason that your fingers and your toes shouldn't have the same amount of dexterity and mobility and independence. There's no reason that your toes shouldn't have the same mobility, dexterity, and independence that your fingers do. It's because of shoes that they don't. So that's why people get those spacers. I actually just wear the things that they give you when you get pedicures. I don't buy those things. You could. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just they give you those for free. So, but allowing that space between the toes is important. Okay. So once you've dropped your toes down, and maybe they didn't come one by one, that's okay. Can you see the mat between your toes at least? If you're wearing socks, that's a little tough, but can you at least see the mat? I can through most of them, but not all of them. And that just sort of shows you, okay, those toes are tight, and I just learned. So, okay, let your arms relax. Stand up tall. We're gonna come into a balanced pose. So look at something ideally up and away, something that won't move, that you can really keep your focus on. Okay, so as you inhale, lift your heels up away from the floor, coming up onto just your toes and the ball mounts of your feet like you're wearing invisible high heels. And exhale, very slowly lower down. Once your heels come down, come right back up. Inhale, lift your heels up off the ground, pushing the toes down, pushing the ball mounts of the feet down. Inhale, rise. Exhale, lower. The slower you lower, the better. So inhale, rise, really get up high, stretch the bottoms of your feet, and then exhale, come down really slow, resist gravity's pull. We'll do this a few more times. If you need more of a challenge, as you inhale, sweep the arms up, fingertips reach up towards the ceiling. Exhale, palms face down as the arms come down. We'll again do about 2 or 3 more. Inhale, palms face up as you reach up, if you choose to do that. Palms face down as you come down. Do just a few more. One step further in your feet, even out the weight in your feet. Are you pushing all of the weight into your big toe or to your little toe? That's pronating and supinating. We don't want either of those. We don't want that eversion and inversion here. Evenly push to the base of the big toe and the base of the little toe. Let's do just one more. Inhale, reach the heels, get them up, 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 get them up high. And then exhale, the slower the better. Lower, so slow, so controlled, so mindful, so that your muscles really do get stronger with that movement. Okay, all right, and then you can wiggle out your toes, let them relax. All right, I'm gonna come back to the top of your mat, facing forward, weight in the heels. Inhale, reach fingertips towards the ceiling. Exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, step back to downward facing dog. And if downward facing dog isn't in your practice, you're welcome to come to tabletop. But this really will be our last down dog. And for those of you who want to take it, I want to give you the opportunity. So maybe you take a version or a variation or some movement here. If you're feeling like you want some work, maybe you come to a plank, you take a vinyasa, whatever you want. But just a few more moments. Again, you're welcome to just come in tabletop or child's pose. Okay, and then we will all meet in tabletop. Okay, so from tabletop, we're gonna come into a stretch for our feet and our ankles and our fingers. So there's really a lot happening here. Everything should be comfortable. Some things might be intense, but know that you can always back out of it. That's crucial for this pose. Okay, so you're gonna start by leaning forward. Feet and knees probably about hip distance apart. Mine, I like them just a little bit narrower. You're gonna hook your toes under like you would, like you were in down dog, or like you're about to come to down dog. Okay, so bottoms of the toes on the ground, toenails off the ground, tops of the feet off the ground. Okay, now you're gonna start to walk your hands back towards your knees, dropping your seat closer towards your heels. Now, the more you do this, the more you will feel in your feet and maybe even your ankles. It's mostly in your feet, your toes and your feet. Okay, so this is called broken toe pose. It won't break your toes. It won't do damage to you. I wish they wouldn't have called it that. I should just call it something else. I should just make up a different name. But everyone knows this as broken toe pose. It is arguably uncomfortable, but it should feel, again, productive and beneficial. It shouldn't be something where you think to yourself, I shouldn't be doing this, I'm gonna regret this tomorrow. It's not that kind of thing. It should be sort of an interesting feeling, and it is taking a lot, but you're able to sit with it. Okay, now if you are still looking for more, which I am not, but I will demonstrate this for just a moment, you're welcome to come upright. So the more you come upright, the more you'll feel. That's too much for me though. Okay, now either way, wherever you're at, we're gonna stretch through the fingers. So let's do the right hand first. Right hand, you're gonna flip it so that the fingers point towards you, but the palm is down. So this is different from what we did before. Palm is towards the floor, fingertips back towards your knees. Now we're gonna let the palm come up off the ground. I want us to stretch the fingers. So the palm is gonna come up off the ground, but the fingers and fingertips especially are on the ground. You're gonna feel this where your fingers sort of meet your palm, if that makes sense. We'll stay here for another moment on the right side. Okay, and then slowly release the right. Now, if you want to come out of broken toe pose, that's fine. If you want to let the tops of your feet rest, you're done with this, that's perfectly fine. But we do have to do the left side. So, right hand comes down, left hand, you're going to just pivot it. So the palm is down, fingertips point back towards your knees, towards the back of your mat, the wall behind you. But you're going to let the palm lift up. All of the palm will lift up. And most of the fingers will lift up, but fingertips are off the ground. I don't know if this is really easy for you to see, but my fingertips are pushing down, but really most of the fingers are off. This is in my body. I want you to feel a stretch more so in the fingers and the palm, less about the wrist. We've done that a lot already. Take another breath. Okay, and then you can release your hands. If you want to stay in broken toe pose, you can, but I am done. So I'm going to come to a seat just with my legs in front of me. You just have to do the thumbs, so we won't be here long. Okay. So starting with your right hand, I'm not going to mirror you because I want to even myself out as well. You're going to allow your forearm to be vertical, palm to the sky. With the other hand, it doesn't matter to me how you grab onto it, but you're going to pull your thumb like you're reaching your thumb down towards your elbow crease. So you're going to feel it through sort of that space that we were massaging earlier, this sort of webbing or this sort of base of the thumb. I want you to feel a stretch there. So the palm more or less faces the ceiling. Forearm is more or less vertical, a straight line up and down, and you're pulling that thumb down towards its elbow or towards the biceps. Let's stay for a breath. Okay, and then slowly release. Okay, second side. So forearm is vertical, palm to the sky. It doesn't matter to me how you necessarily hold on here, but it's like you're drawing again your thumb down towards the bicep or towards the elbow, like you're getting the thumbnail to try to get it back towards the forearm. However you need to think of it, but you should feel a stretch in through here. And relax your shoulders. Take some deep breaths. A lot of these movements, again, are very different, very unique. We don't do a lot of these in an average class. So these might be very new movements for you. So give yourself a break, take a breath. And then slowly release the finger, release the hand, release the wrist. Okay, we're gonna come back to the feet one more time. So from a seated position, I would also here say you don't need to sit on anything. I would think sitting on something is gonna be a little counterproductive here. So just sitting right on your mat. We're gonna come into butterfly pose, Baddha Konasana. So we talked about, I don't know if you can see, this eversion, getting the bottoms of the feet together, but then we ended up wanting to try to get the knees away. So now we're gonna allow that. So bottoms of the feet together. So here you're not really in eversion. Your ankles are probably a little bit more neutral, but let's create more of an eversion. So let the knees drop away. You're not necessarily pushing, but you'll feel something through the hips and the inner thighs. This is a butterfly pose. You're gonna grab onto the arches of your feet and open your feet like you're trying to open a book. So like you're trying to really get the pinky toe sides of the feet together, like you're trying to show the bottoms of your feet up towards the ceiling. So we're getting back into that eversion. This is at least the third time we've done this. So you might not feel a whole lot here because we've done this action. But let's stay for a few moments, really think about peeling the feet away from each other, bottoms of the feet towards the ceiling. Now, depending on how your hips and your legs feel, you might stay upright, you might start to fold forward. You'll feel more again in your hips and your inner thighs, but I do want you to keep everting the feet. Bottoms of the feet towards the ceiling, pinky toes, sides of the feet together. Let's take about 3 breaths here. Now, if you're allowing your torso to fold forward, slowly rise back up. And you can release your feet. Okay. All right. Now we are going to come onto our back, and we are going to let our ankles and wrists and feet and hands all just rest. They've been through enough, I think. We're going to come onto our back. I like to support my head, but that is optional. But you're going to come all the way down onto your back. Okay. And we're going to come into a twist. So you can let the arms come out in opposite directions. Palms face up. Feet and knees about hip distance apart, feet flat, knees bent. For a few moments, let's let the knees sway from side to side. Let them rock right to left, back and forth, side to side. Just at a really comfortable pace. So again, a lot of the movements that we did were very unique and foreign and probably felt funky and odd and arguably sometimes uncomfortable. That's okay, especially if you're new to yoga. But now we're coming to some poses that really should just be comfortable. They shouldn't feel clunky or awkward or uncomfortable in any way. So just let your knees sway side to side a few more times. Starting to slow down because now we are cooling down. And the next time your legs fall over to the left, let them stay there. Now you might scoot your hips over to the right a little bit, that's all right. And if there's a different leg variation you'd like to take, you're welcome to do that, but I'm just gonna keep my knees bent and my feet and my thighs together. Now listening to your neck, you might turn at your neck to look over your right shoulder. Or you might just keep your neck in neutral. But really let your body relax. Let your muscles soften. Let your joints release. Recognize that this is a supported and comfortable pose that you can soften into, you can relax a little more, you can release any tension. Take 3 breaths here. Now, if your head is turned, slowly return your head to the center. Slowly return your legs back to the center. Recenter your hips. Take a deep breath. One more time, let your knees sway from side to side. Let them rock and move right to left. Let this be a comfortable, easy feeling, not just in your body, but even in your mental state. Start to calm down and cool down. And whenever you're ready, let your legs fall to the right, let them stay. You might scoot the hips over to the left. You might move your legs in a different position or just keep feet, knees, and thighs together. You might turn at your neck to look over your left shoulder. You might keep the neck in neutral. But then rest. Soften. Let your body relax. Remembering that this is a comfortable position where very minimal work is happening. Relax into the twist.
more breaths here. Your head is turned, slowly return it to the center. Slowly return your legs back to the center. Recenter your hips, recenter your spine. Take a few deep breaths. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, hug your knees into your chest. You might rock side to side. Trace circles with your knees. Maybe do a few more foot and ankle movements, or maybe come to happy baby. But give yourself a few moments, a few breaths to be wherever feels comfortable. And then settle into your Shavasana. Shavasana is our final relaxation, our final resting pose, where most often we lengthen the legs along the mat, feet about hip distance apart, arms about a foot away from the body, palms up. I'm going to come up to a seat, but you stay on your back and you find a position that feels very good, that takes little to no work. That might mean grabbing props for putting on a sweatshirt or whatever you need, maybe turning off an overhead light if you've got one on. But then settle in on your back. Let your body relax. Let everything relax. From the tips of your toes, all the way up your legs, up your spine, down your arms to the tips of your fingers, all the way up to the crown of your head. You are relaxed. You are soft. You are at ease. And although there might be a list of things waiting for you when you are finished with your practice, when you step off your mat, those can wait. There's no sense in spending these next few moments anticipating what you have to do later, because it's not productive. There's no sense in making the list or trying to accomplish anything now. You'll forget it. So there's no sense, there's no point. It's not nearly as productive as you think. So just let it go, save it for later. Be here, be present, and relax.
slowly deepen your breath. And as you continue to deepen your breath, create soft movements throughout the body. Let the head rock side to side. Run your thumbs over the rest of your fingers as you wiggle your toes. Roll wrists and ankles. Move arms and legs. You can reach your arms overhead, stretching as if you just woke up from a long nap. Fingertips and toes in opposite directions. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, hug your knees in towards your chest. And slowly roll over onto either side, resting your ear on your arm to support your head and neck. Keeping your eyes closed and using the strength of both arms, push down into the ground and come up to a comfortable seat. Take a moment here to thank yourself. You made it to your mat today. That's so wonderful. So thank yourself for that. And maybe reflect on your intention. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. And may the thoughts, words, and actions of my life contribute in some way to the happiness and freedom for all. Now slowly join your hands together in front of your heart in Anjali Mudra. To seal our practice, we'll chant the sound of Om one time. You're welcome to join me or just listen. But Om is the oldest and most sacred mantra. It's said to be the sound of the universe. The seed sound, the sound that started it all. All sounds in the world supposedly came from this sound. So again, we'll chant the sound of Om one time. Let's start with a deep and clearing breath. Inhale for Om. The light or the good in me acknowledges, respects, and bows to the light or the good in you. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me, for following along in this sort of unique sequence. I hope that you moved in some ways that sparked a little bit of sensation that you thought, that's interesting. I might have to come back to that later. So thanks for joining with me and have a wonderful day. Keep taking care of yourself. Stay safe, healthy, and thank you so much. See you soon. Bye.